downtown Newhall. I don't know where our buildings, the height of our I don't think we have anything over 2 stories. Anyway, welcome to the show we call Job Talk 1. Tommy Cairns and the coach. I don't know if I'm an expert on anything, Tommy, except I think being a business coach for last 25 years, motivational speaker, talking to business groups, employing hundreds of people, I think I do have a sense of what's going on in the marketplace today. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to open up the segment talking about the economy. Which of these human beings, I was going to say clowns, I don't want to say clown, I don't want to be nasty today. Which one of these nice human beings running for President of the United States is going to be good for the job market? So we'll get into that. Then,
good question.
I'm going to ask this question of all of us, and we have a big audience here. Let me try to get my applause meter. But where does talent come in? If America is not getting a raise, if America, so here's the question. Talent, can you acquire it? So that'll be something for you all to think about. If you don't have talent, see, I think everybody has some talent in some areas, and most people can't figure out what their talent is. I get that. It's frustrating. Let me see if I can get the applause meter here. Hold on. No, I got it turned off here. Let me get my applause.
You got Justin looking at you, kind of funny here.
I got all this.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, if we could have the applause every once in a while, just so I feel good about myself. Tommy Cairns and the coach. Tommy, ladies and gentlemen, he's the real deal. Tom was the Homeland Security HR Director, 230,000 minions. How did you look at your employees as minions or real people?
No, they were real human beings.
Really? And then prior to that, almost 19 years running NBC Studios as HR Director. So it'll be interesting. I'm going to do a segment interviewing you because there's such a difference between entrepreneurism and working for the government, or working for a large company and working for the government. So we'll talk about that. All right, so let's get into it. So we have we have 4 people running for Mrs. Stein. I don't know if she's a Mrs., but Mrs. Stein getting 1%.
Right.
I don't know how accurate these polls are. Gary Johnson, who I like, I like him as a person. He's half Hillary and half Donald Trump. If you listen to him, right?
Yeah.
He says, I like a lot of the things that Hillary has, and I like a lot of things that Donald Trump had. So libertarians tend to, I'm kind of a quasi-fake libertarian because I want small government, and right. I don't really care about the rest of the world, which is really stupid. Really stupid.
Well, I was going to say that's where it comes down to foreign policy and domestic policy, and how the outlook, how people view that. Whether it's they look at government's involvement in it.
Yeah. Is
it necessary? What does the government do to stimulate our economy, or does it help it or hinder it? So that's where you get your different viewpoints.
We're so preoccupied almost daily with the rest of the world that we're spending billions of dollars. If that money would come home and we would spend it here in helping economically challenged neighborhoods and making our country stronger. It seems to me that I'm getting on a little rant here. I don't mean to do it because our show's not political. The show's called Job Talk 1, heard all over the country on Hometown Station, hometownstation.com, or go to our website. We have a nice site that's growing in popularity. It's called JobTalk1.com. We have all our podcasts there and our videos. You can see what we look like. But when you look at the people that are running for office or the people that are in office, my angst is they're not providing leadership. They're really not inspiring our own citizens to do better in their lives. Okay, so now we're down to the 2 front runners, Hillary Rodham Clinton, and is it Rodham or Rotten? Is it Rodham, right?
Rodham,
it's not
yes.
Rotten.
No, not Rotten.
No, it's Hillary Rodham Clinton and Donald J. John Trump. So
I'm glad you said. I actually didn't know what the J stood
I'm
for.
actually voting for you. Yeah, no, I'm writing Tom Cairns in. If we could start a movement, you would be a great president.
Oh, really?
No, you really would. So which one do you think would help the job market? Which one do you think would inspire people to do better in their life? Which one running for office do you think would make a difference in our daily lives?
I was going to give you the answer, it depends. Which
that's why you'd make a great politician. No, this is why
you know what, there are aspects, and not to be political, is really looking at answers that our economy needs or sees. Who would be the most flexible and adaptable, because I think from an ideological standpoint, when you break that down, you have a viewpoint and a perspective that you come from, but then when it comes to looking at the realities that you actually have to resolve, are you able to make modifications to your ideology and still maintain those beliefs and make that? So that's why I really kind of say it depends, because there'll be, say, from a business standpoint, most business people might think a Republican nominee would be better for business, but history has shown us that actually Democratic policies in many instances have been better for business.
Can I just comment for a second? Our
Sure.
show dedicated to Coach Greg Herrick, Coach Greg Herrick of College of the Canyons, the winningest junior college basketball coach, something like 24 out of 27 winning seasons. Big shout out to you, Coach Greg Herrick, and also Phil Raymond, and also because it seems every day they save my technology life. A great local company, Resurgence IT. Seems, I don't know what's the matter with my computer. Some little crappy bug crawled in my computer. Do you have problems with your computer?
Occasionally I do.
I don't know. It's every day.
I'm a proud member of the Geek Squad.
You are?
Yes.
Oh,
they do a good job.
So Democrats, now I'm generalizing, so anybody that's listening, because I'm not a Gemini and I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Gemini or a Republican. I'm an independent thinker, independent voter, issue-oriented.
Right.
But the Democrats tend to support larger government, bigger government, and government does provide jobs, right?
They do, and they don't. There's that. I was actually looking up a statistic.
Tommy, you had 230,000 people in
yes.
your department. Do you need, now, I was thinking about you all last night because I knew I was going to interview you today.
Right.
So a great percentage of those 230,000 are TSA workers, right?
Quite a few, yeah. Probably 30%, maybe, close to that.
So 30%
of the total
What are the
workforce.
other 70%?
Another large segment would be Customs and Border Patrol.
Oh, got it.
So
okay.
they're large.
Oh, Border Patrol fell under Homeland Security? Okay. Back to Democrats tend to, as you say, and you're truly the expert, tend to create more jobs than Republicans.
Well, I was going to say that's where their viewpoint is in terms of thinking that. So that's why I said it really sort of depends, because on one handle you think the one particular party, but it's really a combination, I think, of how they work together to address an issue, which obviously comes down to
which party do you think, or which candidate that's going to get elected? We need to repair our infrastructure. I mean, like yesterday, right?
Right.
Roads, bridges, dams. So which party do you think will spend the money? So if we spend the hundreds of billions of dollars, this is going to provide jobs, correct? Mm-hmm. So you would lean towards Hillary Rodham Clinton, correct?
I think you would. It brings up a question for, if you think back when President Obama came in and there was something called a stimulus, which a lot of people forget, and what that was designed to do. And that was designed to address shovel-ready or infrastructure projects, and to some degree that had that effect, but it didn't really address all the aspects and issues.
I think very little of that money went towards job creation. I think a lot of that money went towards cities. I know the city of Ventura got some money for their cameras, but here's where transparency failed. Obama failed us in so many ways, but he certainly failed, or his administration failed, in disclosing where the money went. So you have the Republicans thinking that the money went into some dark hole.
Right.
And the truth of the matter is the money was distributed throughout political jurisdictions.
A lot of it, like you said, went to cities,
police cameras,
or
police
states.
cars. A lot of people would say pork barrel spending.
Right. Or things that didn't generate and replicate itself. So it was a one-time spending,
Right.
and what you really want to do is invest,
Right.
so that would again kind of stimulate. So I just kind of say that as a backdrop, because there are some things that I believe, the government is very helpful from an employment standpoint. They protect workers. There's wage and hour laws. There's sort of things that are things that you would want the government to be involved in. But whether or not they can be there we're a capitalist society, so you really kind of look at the small business person, and you are one of those, or medium-sized.
Yeah.
So what does the government do to help stimulate your business?
Nothing. Nothing. I think this year there's 13,000 new regulations. I mean,
Well, that's what I was going to say. That's
Right.
what they're involved in, is producing regulations that regulate how you do business.
This is unconscionable. We have so many laws on the books that are disruptive to small, medium, and even large businesses. I mean, it's out of control.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me that supply and demand, it seems to me that the public is smarter than any politician that we send to Washington. We know when we're getting mishandled. We know when there's dishonesty.
Mm-hmm.
Wells Fargo Bank was in front of the Senate
Right.
committee today. I don't know. It just seems to me, I know we're getting off track here, but I just want to say this.
I would say
I have to just say this.
Sure.
When are we going to start handcuffing and sending these white-collar executives to jail for hurting us? I mean,
we have few examples of that. They're not as many as you would think, and they are very, very visible to us. Yet what I was going to just kind of mention is that what gets lost is the small businesses that are involved in businesses that run all of our businesses. And so I'll give an example of that is, say, in the motor industry, in automobiles, and Ford was in the news lately about building a plant in Mexico, and so everybody gets outraged, about that aspect. But that's only one aspect of the automobile industry. You have tires. You have all kinds of other accessories and businesses.
You have hundreds of not thousands of vendors, but
and probably more that are associated with that.
It's complicated, because if Ford stock rises,
right,
because they lowered their costs by moving to another country, because they manufacture their manufacturing costs went down dramatically. Why did they leave the United States of America? Regulation.
Correct. I mean, if they could export their cars into Mexico and make a profit,
Right.
then they would do that, versus building a plant there. I bought a banana the other day in the grocery store, and if you look at it, I see Dole Foods on it, the brand that everybody recognizes.
Right.
And then you look at another sticker that's on that banana.
Chiquita.
It comes from Ecuador. And so we're in a very global kind of driven environment, and balancing the interests of American workers with the ability to make a profit, and also to recognize that you can actually now get products year round that we couldn't do here seasonally. So it's very complicated, I guess, is the aspect.
All right, we're getting away from the central question. Which of these candidates? Which of these? It's a good discussion. Which of these candidates will help you in your job? Which one of these candidates, if you vote for Hillary, you're going to have more regulation? The problem is Donald Trump is such an unknown.
And you would think he would be good for business, because he's a businessman.
You would think.
But there's a lot of complexities to making things happen that will be an education for him should he become
I think
elected.
the one that has the best kitchen cabinet. I don't understand why each candidate would not disclose. Think about it. If they're the coach of their football team, the coaches disclose who their offensive and defensive coordinators are and their special team. These professional teams have 15 coaches. Mm-hmm. And why wouldn't these candidates disclose who's going to be in their kitchen cabinet? Because maybe the kitchen, at the end of the day, the kitchen cabinet may be the best source of help or the best source of new information or new ideas.
I think there's,
I know in Hillary's kitchen cabinet it's going to be Billy. And see, I made more money under Bill Clinton being a conservative than I have under any other Republican president.
No, he had a very positive effect on business, and I think that's the part of, as I was saying, adapting and being flexible, and I realize what they're up against or what they have to work with, where they need to make some adjustments.
But do you think Bill will live in the White House with her? I mean, I don't think they live together, do they?
I don't know. I don't think I want to get into.
Have you been to the White House as the?
I have been to the White House. Yes.
Is it a big house?
It's actually not that big. Tell you a quick story if you want.
Yeah, I've got time. Nobody's listening to us, so we've got all the time in the world. And when I say nobody's listening, millions of people are listening to us.
Well, this is when they want to pull over the side of the road for this little story.
Yeah, pull over because it's going to be quite a story.
It was a fun experience for me to be interviewed for Homeland Security and for the Chief Human Capital Officer job. And so I had to go to the West Wing, and you go through security and you walk through by the political.
Do the Secret Service, they look mean at you?
They watch you. You're being watched, and there was actually
a
Marine.
Suspicious, just walking around.
But I wanted to enjoy the experience because you don't know what was going to happen, whether or not you're going to be hired or not. So I wanted to.
If you touch it, you own it, right? If you break it.
No, if you touch it, you get locked up.
All right, sorry to interrupt. Keep going. You're in the White House, West Wing.
In the West Wing, and so I'm sitting in the lobby.
Is it carpet? Give us details. Are you walking on carpet?
You come into a little small area. It's carpeted. They had USA Today, which you have, you're reading, and papers are there. And so I'm sitting on a couch, and there's a receptionist there. And so at first I thought, I started looking at the paper and said, no, I'm not going to watch the paper. There were people walking from across the room from one side to another. And what I didn't realize, they were going from the West Wing to the Oval Office. That's how close you were to it. And so I started talking to the receptionist, and she had come from Dallas in the Texas area, was a twin. She had been the assistant for the First Lady, and so now she was gravitating, moving jobs and that. So we get chit-chatting, and it was ready for the Easter roll that was going to happen on the South Lawn. And then people were walking by. And so you and I, we're here in Hollywood, and this, people will walk and they look at me sitting on the couch. I look back at them, and they look at me.
You're in a suit.
I'm in a suit.
Dressed to the nines.
I am.
Shoes are polished.
I'm looking like somebody you should know.
Yeah.
But they don't know who I am.
Right.
And
could be a U.S. senator.
That's right. And so as someone was walking by, the receptionist said, "Oh, hi, Mr. Secretary." And I'm looking again at and they're looking over at me. And it just reminded me so much about Hollywood, because it was sort of, do I need to know you?
Right.
Do you know me? And and so you kind of go back and forth, and so I called that the Hollywood of the East, where the same sort of thing of personalities of individuals. So it was fun to just kind of soak in and pretend like I was somebody, because they didn't know, but it was just a fun thing to sit there for. I actually was there for probably about.
Well, you actually are somebody. I mean, I'm always in awe of you. I mean,
but it was enjoyable.
All right, so you're sitting there watching people watching in the White House. Are you saying to yourself, "Man, this is cool"?
You're like pinching yourself, saying, "Am I really here?"
Yeah,
and I'm watching
cool.
this. So.
All right. So then, where were you whisked off to?
Then the special assistant comes over to the president and picks me up to go. So if you ever watched an episode of West Wing, He took me by one of the areas that looked exactly like out of West Wing, and it was a little commissary area. He goes, "Would you like a cup of coffee?" And I said, "Oh, you know what? I already had coffee, about maybe a bottle of water." Well, as I'm standing there to get this bottle of water, I noticed that the coffee cups, which have the presidential seal on it,
You got to take it.
and exactly, you know what I'm saying? He goes, "Would you like it?" I said, "Well, I would, yeah," but it was
Yeah.
then I felt awkward, like I'm gonna stuff my bag. full
Oh,
of-
I would be no problem stuffing everything. I'd gone in the restroom. Who knows what I would have taken?
And I get this bottle of water that doesn't have a seal on it, at this junction, and then you're carrying that thing around. But it was.
So did you go in the
was
Oval
fun.
Office?
No, not on. No, you got to peek in, but the president was there, so I didn't. During this visit, I wasn't able
Do you
to.
think he cared two
even
hoots
get
about
close
you?
to
Did he
it.
know who you were?
Well, I was on a list that he approved. So he saw my name. He appointed me, so my name went
Yeah.
before him and was
Tom,
presented
he appointed
to him.
500,000 people.
Well, 4,000 of his closest friends.
Tommy Cairns and the coach on the show that you tell us you love it. It's called Job Talk 1. Today we're talking to Tommy Cairns about his life in the White House and his life as the HR Director of Homeland Security. I'm your coach, Coach Ron Tunick, on the show we call Job Talk 1, and of course it's produced every week at KHTS, the hometownstation.com. You can listen to our show, our flagship station heard all over the country, KHTS AM 1220, and our producer in the studio is a nice young man, single, handsome, and shy. Justin is his name. So if you're a single lady out there,
I would
give
hit
me
the
a
applause button on
personally
that
give
one,
me a call and I will make it in. Why can't I start a thing called Match 2 or something? What is it, Match?
Match.com.
Which one do you go on?
I don't, but
Is Marianne listening? Hey,
she's
Marianne, how are you? Last week I dedicated the show to you. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and I'm not troubled by this. I'm concerned for you, my dear listener, about what we're going to talk about when we come back. Keep listening, but be calm, and I'll tell you everything from my heart when we come back on the show we call Job Talk 1. Tommy Cairns and the coach will be right back.